We did it. We've teamed up, and together we've created something special. We are the Idaho Underground Sports Network, and we're changing the game. We're covering Idaho high school sports in a way that you haven't seen before. Together, we'll be providing weekly breakdowns and recaps while helping uncover Idaho's top talents at a deeper level. Trust us, you want to be part of this. Boise Sports Talk, EBC Media, and the Gametime Guru bring you Gem Session. Let's get to work. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome out to another episode of Gem Session, brought to you by the Idaho Underground Sports Network. I am Shane Larson, the Gametime Guru, alongside Ty Spangenberg from Boise Sports Talk, AJ Niebergall from EBC Media. We're missing Cherry Films and Meyer Media here, but you guys know who they are, and if you haven't, you need to go follow them on their pages. But we are the Idaho Underground Sports Network. Here, bringing you a state tournament rundown. But we want to remind you guys to subscribe to the channel and share this with any friends and family. This is where we're going to be breaking down weekly. We've been doing it since football season, all through basketball season, a weekly breakdown of what's going on in the sports world here. Well, the high school sports world here in the state of Idaho. Real quick, if you guys haven't followed us on Instagram, coming up this week is going to be a super important time to do so, okay? Because we're going to be providing you guys the highlights, the footage, everything that we need to do to get you caught up on the Idaho basketball tournaments, state basketball tournaments, just like we did for the girls. We're going to be providing the coverage for the guys as well. So make sure if you want some information on what's going on with the state basketball tournament, you are following us on Instagram. For those who haven't already done so as well, Twitter, we're starting to grow that quite a bit. We're over 1,200 followers. We appreciate you guys. We'd love to grow that even more in the next week as we provide more coverage there. During the state basketball tournament, a focal point for us will be not only Instagram, but I will try to provide some more information on Twitter as well for you guys now that we have our full team in effect for this tournament. So follow us there if you can. The last thing I want to say, I brought it up on Twitter as well. We appreciate everybody who's shown support. Currently, we don't have, a ton of money rolling in or anything for this thing. We're doing it for the love of it, and we're trying to build this thing. Obviously, it's a business. We would love to work with people. But if you want to show your support, people are like, how can we support you? Right? The best way to do so, outside of just saying, hey, we want to do a sponsorship or something, go order some merch. It helps, even if it's just a little bit. But our merch is at iusnflames.com. That's Idaho Underground Sports Network Flames. That's what it stands for if you didn't catch that. iusnflames.com, as you see here on the screen. Go order you some merch and represent the various entities, our Idaho Underground Sports Network itself. We have some merchandise options. And if you guys wanted something maybe custom made or anything of that nature that might not be on the website, reach out to us, shoot us a DM, and we can see what we can make happen. I can't always guarantee it, but we can always, see what we can make happen for some of the options. But yeah, that's what we want to make sure you guys do. Show the support. You can go get some merch from us. Gives you some clothes to wear for the week and helps us out a little bit too. So appreciate you guys. Now we're excited to break down the state basketball tournaments. We're gonna have a good week. First and foremost, I want to say welcome back, AJ. You were gone last week, enjoying some sunshine in Arizona, but this wasn't planned. But I just wanted to ask about that 8th grade basketball team that you were covering. Can you briefly break that down for us? Because the only reason I know about them is because of EBC Media and the coverage you provide for that. But they are like arguably the best team in the state of Idaho in the 8th grade, level, but in the region too. So talk about them.
Yeah, Meadowhoop's 8th grade team. They're stacked. All the best players in the Valley are all on that team. And actually their second team is probably the second best team in the Valley. So they're doing a really good job over there at T3 with Meadowhoops. With their younger teams. They're starting a high school boys program. Obviously, all these kids are going into high school after this year. So they're starting a program. I just posted about their tryouts and whatnot. But they've got some guys, man. They have multiple guys that will be varsity basketball players next year. I think Gabe Edens will be a varsity player over at Centennial. Logan Hostvite will be a varsity player over at Mountain View, I believe, if that's what he chooses to do. But, yeah, they've got some size. They've got probably some future Division I football players on that team. Rowan Rupp. Mason Turpin's on that team. His brother Dallin Turpin plays over at Eagle on their varsity basketball team. Mason's about 6'6", 6'7" right now. He tried to throw down in one game. He's getting there. But, man, a lot of athletes. Isaiah Holsinger, I think he's going to be a Cole Valley kid. He'll be varsity as a freshman. So really solid group. They've had some success. They went down to Arizona and played against some of the top teams in the country. They played the number 11 team in the country in their first game, cut it to 10 late, ended up losing that game by around 20. And then they played the number 1 team in the country from Virginia, who looked like they would beat some of the varsity teams out here. I mean, they had 6'8", 6'8", 6'7", 6'5", and then, a lightning quick point guard. So it was impressive to watch, and that they're going out and playing against that type of competition is great for them, great for kids out here in Idaho. But yeah, some guys that we'll be talking about next year, I'm sure, but they do a good job over there at Meta Hoops. Like I said, they're starting something up over there. They've been doing the middle school age teams for a while, and their 8th grade team is by far the best team in the state. They can't stay local and play in tournaments anymore. They can't even scrimmage their second team because it's just such a gap. They tried to play in the freshman league this year, and they didn't let them, but they got a game with one of the freshman teams. I think they played the Mountain View freshman team and beat them by 45. So it's just,
holy cow.
It's a stacked group of physical kids who are, a lot of these guys will have a future in either football, baseball, or basketball.
Super cool, man. And the other thing that wasn't planned on this, but I wanted to, let Ty have an opportunity to talk about it. Ty is covering sports from all across the entire, valley. But that also includes 7-on-7 football. That's what you were kind of grinding with throughout the weekend. You do a lot of tournaments when they're going on, but can you give us a breakdown of the 7-on-7 league that you were able to cover this last weekend?
Yeah, so it's hosted by Sean Modster, former Boise State guy who now runs Kingdom. I've got an opportunity to work with him the last 2 years covering sevens, kind of, helping put it on the map out here in Idaho. It's really big, Texas, California, Vegas, Arizona. Not so much here in the 208, surprise, surprise. But, we're kind of help putting it on the map, just like what we're doing here with Idaho Underground Sports Network, really. So super, super fun weekend. Saw a bunch of hoopers out there, actually. It's fun just building this network and seeing the difference between, last year's event and this year's, and just knowing really who all of these guys are now. So for me personally, it's been a ton of fun. Really great competition out there. Idaho's football level is continuing to improve, and I credit sevens to that, truthfully. I know there's a lot of, different viewpoints on sevens. It doesn't have the physicality that translates to the high school game. But to me, these offensive skill players, it's all about just getting those reps and getting, catching a touchdown in a game is catching a touchdown in a game, right? So just getting used to that feeling, getting used to, competing against all these guys that they're going to see this coming fall. So really great tournament. Triple Threat came away with the 18U championship, 208 platinum. They've got some really big things going there as well. They won the 16U. Just really great competition all the way around. Some out-of-state teams came in, and they gave some of these teams a run for their money. But fun weekend. A little bit cold out there for me. I would prefer to be at one of these Arizona tournaments, but we're having fun with it, and like I said, just kind of helping put Idaho sports on the map.
So I'm talking about. I just hope I wanted to give those guys an opportunity to share that, because it shows you guys that the different entities that we have, EBC Media, Boise Sports Talk, the Game Time Guru. Yeah, we're here on the Idaho Underground Sports Network. We're trying to provide coverage on Idaho high school sports, but there's also, we do so much more than that. And that's what the whole point is. And so please make sure you're following everybody on their channels, Boise Sports Talk, EBC Media, the Game Time Guru. Make sure you're following us all, because outside of this, we have our own stuff that we're doing too. So make sure to do that. Now the bread and butter, right? We're talking about the state basketball tournament. Exciting times. Now we're getting into the boys state tournament, starting March Madness, if you will, a little bit early, right? We got good stuff going on in Idaho. Boise State's probably making the NCAA tournament. We got some good stuff coming, but before that happens, this is the initial storm, which is so much fun, and it's state. So we want to start with the 4A basketball tournament, 4A state, running this down, and what we're excited to see, what we would have liked to see if there was anything upsets that came in and whatnot. First and foremost, I'm going to start this with Middleton, okay, squeaks their way in to the 4A state tournament, which sounds so crazy that happened, right? Well, there's some people that are frustrated that certain teams didn't get in because of the way that the district breaks it down, or the state breaks it down for districts. Then you got Middleton, who just absolutely dominated all season. We've talked about them many times, and then they end up losing in a semifinal game to Vallivue. after an 18-game winning streak. They lose to Vallivue in a close one, a heartbreaker. But the difference between 4A and 5A is in the SIC, you get 2 auto bids and then maybe a play-in. Like, that's what ended up happening. Middleton goes in, finishes 3rd in the district tournament after having this miraculous season, unbelievable season. They find themselves in a play-in game against Blackfoot in overtime. They almost didn't make it. Now, Blackfoot's also stellar, too. You know, they're a stellar team. They play very well. They play better than their record shows sometimes. But Middleton almost didn't make it. But now they're in there. They're ready to prove that, you know, they're the reigning champs. They want to come back and see if they can repeat. And they get a tough matchup against BK in round 1, which is a tough ask for both teams, in my opinion. But Middleton they have BK's number for some reason. It's a weird thing. But I want to ask you guys, I'm going to start with Ty. Do you think in this round 1 matchup, I'm going to start specifically with Middleton BK. Let's talk about that real quick. Do you think BK can get over that hump over Middleton, or do you think that's just too much for them to ask?
Man, I'll tell you what. I'll lead with saying that it's an absolute crime that these two teams are playing in the first round. Absolute crime. You look at put the hood on. I'll throw mine on. You look at the other side of the bracket, and I'm looking at Pocatello. Pocatello has, in my opinion, a very easy road to the state championship. And it's just, disappointing that Middleton and BK weren't split up, because those are the 1 and 2 teams out here in the SIC. So very disappointing that that's how it all played out, but such is life. And we're learning that it's just a fun year with some of these rankings. But I personally, BK is riding high off of a huge comeback win in the SIC district championship. They were down 13 midway through the 4th quarter, somehow forced OT and came out with a win. And you know, we've talked about it several times this season. It is so hard to beat a team 3 times, and we've seen, I think, almost in every single instance this season, that 3rd game, the team that lost the first 2 matchups comes out with a win in that 3rd game. So I'm not going to rule BK out, although I can't pick against the defending state champs, you know, and just what they've done this season. I think they had a fluke of a week. We talked about it before the show with Lake City and how Lewiston might have woken them up. Well, I think this past week, if it didn't wake Middleton up, we're going to see that very quickly. But I do have the Vikings in that round 1 matchup.
AJ, what do you think when it comes to that? You were able to watch Vallivue play BK in the championship game. BK down 13 with 4.5 to go. It was a Blake Hawthorne show after that. He takes them to overtime, ends up winning it. BK comes out as champions in the 4A SIC. Do you think that momentum rolls in, or do you think that Middleton can get it done again?
I think if BK is going to beat Middleton finally, because Middleton, it's complete ownage. It's just, they just have their number. They play that zone well. They make Hawthorne, they neutralize Hawthorne with their size, and then they just take advantage of all the other mismatches. Hawthorne has to be great. It's tough for him to do that against 6'10", 6'8", 6'8", Hanson Day and Medeiros, and we've seen that every time they play. What I really like to see BK come back and beat Vallivue in that game. It shows their senior leadership. McGarvin, Hunter, Hawthorne have been doing it for years. They've been one of the top trios in the state for the last 2-3 years. Senior year always does something different to people. It is Medeiros senior year as well, but they've got a lot of younger guys also that are coming back. If BK is going to beat Middleton, this is when and where it's going to happen. I thought that Vallivue game would have woken Middleton up, and then they almost lost to Blackfoot. So I don't know if they already peaked and they're kind of coming down, because it happens a lot. And if you even watch the NCAA tournament, how many times have we seen in the past 10 years a team who you don't think is going to make the tournament go on a run and then continue that run? They just find a rhythm. I think that Kemba Walker UConn team, I think back to, and then the following year with Shabazz Napier, you're like, that team's not even going to make it. And they went on a run. They got hot. So it's what happens. You find a rhythm, you feel good about yourselves, and you get rolling. And so I see that with Lake City right now. I don't see that from Middleton after that Blackfoot game. I know Medeiros fouled out, and I thought they were done. Hanson, Day, Stuckey stepped up, Gravier stepped up. They got him there. Sometimes it just takes getting there. They're familiar there. I will take Middleton in this game because of it's just been complete ownage. But I think BK has a better chance than they've had before, just because of they're coming off that high of that district championship. They've got those 3 seniors. And Middleton, as of now, is starting to look a little bit more like they did at the start of the year, where it's like, who are they? Where are they? And then they went on that big run in the last 2 games, just a surprising loss to Vallivue, who's not bad, but they're not Middleton. And then Blackfoot, who, I mean, they've got King's a good player. They've got some pieces, but man, I don't think it's any sort of comparison, Blackfoot to Middleton. I think Ty would probably agree with that. We saw
100%.
Blackfoot play, and it's so I don't know where Middleton's at right now. It's going to be interesting to see. I think Middleton's happy with that matchup. I know BK is not extremely excited about it, but hey, like Ty was saying, how many times are you going to lose to a team before you finally slap them in the face? And BK has the guys to do it, so that's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't discredit a 23-2 season, right? Like, that was Middleton's season, so it's hard I don't want people thinking we're just, oh, who are they? They were they were on an 18-game winning streak, doing it in like, that's a very difficult thing to do. It doesn't matter what level of basketball you're in. Very difficult thing to do. And they were doing that week in, week out, and they had that loss to Vallivue. We're not sitting here saying, oh, Middleton's completely lost now, but it's more so crediting, in my opinion. We're trying to give credit to BK. I think BK has that senior leadership, like you said, and I'm excited to see it. Now, earlier in the season, I was able to cover that BK Middleton matchup at Bishop Kelly. They fought with them all the way up until the very end of that game. And so, I mean, they fought. And that's usually how it goes with them. That's a rivalry. It's a shame that this particular game won't be at the Idaho Center. It's a shame, because that should be a minimum semifinal matchup, if not a final matchup. But that should be something where the whole entire valley can see it at the Idaho Center, where the lights are on. And as you guys know, or if you don't know, semifinals for 4A will now be played at the Idaho Center, just like they did for the girls tournament. So first rounds are at Rocky Mountain High School. Second round for the semifinals for both 4A and 5A will be at the Idaho Center. So that's full slate of basketball on Thursday and Friday for you guys. So just so everybody knows that, that's why I said that. On the other
side, too, sorry, Shane, I just want to say, and I don't need to say, but the 4A bracket's a train wreck. It's a joke, and it comes down to that BK Middleton, the top 2 teams in the league again, playing each other in the first round of state. Like Ty was saying, put one of those teams on the other side, because Hillcrest Middleton in the second round, that's a potential state championship matchup. There's just no reason for it. It's a disaster. Let's get it fixed. Anyway, done with my rant.
So if you guys want to listen to our episode 2 weeks ago, go check that one out about Max Preps rankings, and you guys can check that out and have a good time, a good conversation on that. Now, earlier in the season, AJ, you mentioned Hillcrest. There's an entire clip of it we posted on our channel from one of our episodes of Hillcrest is going to be the 4A state champions. That's what you just went. Do you still hold that belief based on what you're seeing here?
No question. I think they could go win the 5A state championship potentially. I think their top 6 guys, they're that loaded. And, Cooper Kessler is averaging around 20 a game. Jace Austin, KJ Kessler, obviously Isaac Davis, Garrett Fippins. I mean, they have a bunch of dudes that can do a bunch of things. I think they're going to – I don't want to say they're going to run through this tournament. I think they are definitely the team to beat. I mean, they handled Madison twice this year, including at Madison by double digits, which impressed me a lot. But I think Hillcrest, they're ready to go. They know who they are. No question marks there for me. They're my state champion at the 4A level. They just a bunch of those kids I know from club ball play for Select, play for Utah Drive, all that type of stuff. And those are top tier club teams. And they were very good last year. They were a semifinal team last year. Everybody's back, more mature. Davis is multiple D1 offers. He's established himself as one of the best players in the state as a sophomore. He's improving every time he goes out, kind of like a Jackson Rasmussen is for Owyhee. But man, I think Hillcrest is going to be a lot of fun to watch. I like Vallivue getting a shot at them because Jacob Martinez can go for 30 and beat anybody. I mean, we saw what he did against Centennial at the start of the year, dropped the 30 ball at Centennial. They beat Centennial. Obviously, Centennial didn't shoot well, but Martinez has the ability to do that. And those kids are dogs down there. Coach Mario has them ready to go. They were impressive 3.5 quarters against BK, dominated the game. And then BK just went and took it. And they missed some free throws, turned the ball over, tried to stall. They played to not lose instead of to win the game. And that happens sometimes. they'll learn from that. You know, Martinez is a senior point guard, and anytime you got a high level senior point guard on your team, it can be scary. So I like that matchup. I think it's going to be closer than people think. But like I said, I'm super high on Hillcrest.
Totally. Now, Ty, on the other side of the bracket, you had mentioned how like Poky kind of has an easier time, just like the easiest route on paper going through. Now, some from Jerome might be a little bit offended by that, right? Because I think Jerome's getting the same treatment as Middleton at this point. They have the stellar season. They lose an upset game in the district game with Burley, I believe. Which shout out to Burley. I mean, crazy. It was funny. We had a good conversation with Amari. I won't get into that. About like the Burley guys, but congrats to them for getting there. But that was a surprise. I mean, they're the Cinderella story of this particular tournament. But Jerome's down there after having a stellar season. They lose. That now they're getting in there with Moscow. Like, it's kind of one of those sides of the bracket that's a little bit. You would say it's a little on paper. It looks a little easier, but I want to see your breakdown of that. What you expect from the game with Poky and Burley, as well as Jerome and Moscow.
Yeah, well, if there's any Jerome fans listening that are upset with anything that has been said or will be said, I would say don't lose to Burley. That would be my response to that. I don't think Burley has a chance against Poky. I think that's going to be a 25-plus point win for Bowie and the Thunder there. I think Jerome has had a very favorable schedule. And I think that this loss to Burley exposes that. I've got Moscow in that game against Jerome. I think Moscow's had a tougher schedule throughout the course of the year. And I think that they've been there several times, right? They were recently in the state championship. So I think they've kind of got that pedigree going. So I've actually got Moscow in that game against Jerome. And then, again, though, I don't think that Moscow is going to be able to hang with what Pocatello is going to be able to do. So to me, it's just it's an easy road for Pocatello. I would be very, very surprised if they are not in the state championship.
Something about Poky, if you guys haven't seen Julian Bowie play, Bowie can just light it up at any moment, right? When we watched him at the Owyhee tournament, the first game of that Owyhee tournament, he was kind of quiet. We didn't see much, and everyone's kind of thinking, "Oh, well, what's the hype on this?" But then we see him. If I'm not mistaken, AJ, wasn't it against Lake City in the championship game, Poky in Lake City, where he dropped like 30 points?
Yeah, he almost had a triple-double in the first game. He wasn't sending.
Right, it was quiet, though.
It was quiet. And then he had 22, and then he had 33 on Lake City, and they almost beat Lake City.
Yeah.
They ended up losing by, I think, 13, but they were up most of the game, and he just couldn't keep doing what he had 8 threes. He was unbelievable. He's definitely must-see TV. He's the most dangerous shooter in probably the state, the most dangerous.
That's what I'm trying to tell people. I'm like, get out there. You're going to see some really good hoopers. Hillcrest, AJ just mentioned like 6 of them, but Cooper Kessler is going to he's a straight shooter. So like, if you want to see some shooters, Bowie and Kessler are great shooters from around the state. So, but yeah, Julian Bowie, like that guy he's shooting it from Steph Curry range, and he's shooting it with confidence. And it's not just from the 3 ball. He can drive in, pull up jumper. He can finish around the rim. Like, he can do what he needs to do. And that's what makes him so dangerous, because it's hard to defend that type of an individual. But then Middleton's got their 3 towers, plus Talmadge is out there doing his thing. We mentioned all their names. BK. I mean, we've got hoopers across the board. So last thing before we go over to the 5A bracket, guys, I want to ask you your predictions on who wins the state championship for the 4A side of things, starting with Ty.
Not going to stray too far from what AJ said. I've got the Hillcrest Knights.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to touch real quick on Burley Pocatello. Burley's not going to be in that game unless Amari shows up, and I know she's going to the Pac-12 tournament, but she won't be there. I agree with Ty. I think that's going to be tough for them. I know they got some size. Poky's small. Bowie's different. And then that Jerome game, Scotty Cook and Mikey Lloyd for Jerome are 2 very good basketball players. I'm going to end up taking Jerome now that I know that BST is taking Moscow, because I got to catch up to him, friggin' guy. But yeah, I like Moscow though. Jamari Simpson and Cody Isaacson are 2 guys that have had very good years. They're a confident group. They've been hitting me up all year. You come into a game, and they hit me up today. And I said, hey, listen, you beat Jerome, we'll see you. And they said, okay, we're coming for you guys. So they're confident. it's Hillcrest for me. It's that second round game. I would love to see Hillcrest Middleton, and nothing against BK. Like, part of me hopes BK wins that game, but Hillcrest Middleton would be interesting because Hillcrest isn't huge. And I think Middleton, like what they do against Hawthorne, could neutralize Davis and make that an interesting game. But I got Hillcrest. I'm riding with Hillcrest. They got a bunch of dogs. They can shoot it. Davis is a highlight reel. Go Knights for me.
I'm sticking with Hillcrest as well. I think it's kind of across the board what we're expecting. So let's move on to the 5A side of things as we get ready for some exciting basketball. Here's the thing. District tournament for 5A SIC wasn't necessarily as competitive as people would have liked it, but you're seeing Owyhee, this top dog here in the Valley, peaking at the right time. You got Lake City up north peaking at the right time, but you also have some teams that can create matchup problems. Meridian, for example, the reigning state champions. Yes, it's a completely different roster for the most part, but that team is odd. They took the very long route. They went from almost beating Owyhee in the district semis to then having to find themselves in a play-in game up in Grangeville against Coeur d'Alene, who they had lost to earlier in the season. Luckily, they just smacked them with shooting lights out from the three-point line, but Meridian found themselves in a almost not making it. But Meridian is one of those teams that causes matchup problems. Up 7 against Lake City earlier in the season, a minute and a half to go, should have won that game, okay? They go to overtime and lose. You got Meridian, who beat Eagle twice, who was the SIC regular season champions. And then they got smacked by Owyhee in one game, then almost beat them in the next game. They were sticking there the entire game. Started up on a 10-0 run, basically, in that game. And so, like, Meridian can – and then they lose to Centennial. Centennial has their number. So Meridian's this weird team, but they can cause matchup problems. Centennial's also another one if they shoot right. So it's exciting. Some people would say, oh, it's the Lake City Owyhee show. Okay, we're waiting for that matchup. But there are some exciting teams out there. Madison and Rigby are coming in. They've got matchup problems, and they have experience in this tournament. So, like, they bring the fans. They have that type of experience. Their coaches have that type of experience. That's why I'm excited for it. So, first and foremost, are there any upsets you guys see happening in the first round of 5A? I'm starting with AJ.
Centennial beating Lake City. No. Oh, no. I'm not saying that. I'm not. I'm just kidding. I'm giving my guys some love. My guy Weston Johnson in the house. But it's a tough matchup for Centennial. I mean, they have to shoot well. They have to shoot well early. I mean, it really comes down to this, and it's not a knock on anybody. It's just my opinion, right? Centennial is not extremely athletic, and they're not extremely big. Lake City is very athletic and very big, and if Centennial doesn't hit shot, I mean, they've got to keep it within a minus 15 rebounding difference, like max, and that's going to be tough to do. And then they're going to have to shoot. They're going to have to hit 15 plus threes, which they can do, which is exciting, right? Usually you see the 1-8 or the 2-7 like in 4A, and you're like, Poky Burley, no. But with this, we all know what these Centennial guys can do. I mean, they can fill it up. They can go drop 80 in a game and hit 23s, and they've got 6 guys who can go for 20, 25 points in a game. Deedon, in their elimination game against Skyview, Deedon had 25 off the bench and hit 6 threes. Like, so that's scary. That's dangerous. I've talked to Lake City guys. I've talked to some of their coaches, and Centennial has their attention, which is all respect. I don't see it happening there. The second round last year, I'm going to touch on this real quick. Last year, Eagle Rigby in the 5th place game, which is our second round game. Eagle is up. It went to 3 overtimes. Eagle is up 2 in the second overtime with 0.9 seconds and the ball. Eagle throws the ball deep. Nobody touches it. It goes out of bounds. Rigby gets the ball underneath their hoop with 0.9 down 2. Cade DeBell, the point guard, fakes like he's coming off a double screen, moves the defender, jumps back to the hoop, catch, layup, goes to triple overtime. Rigby wins. So there's something there between that Eagle-Rigby game, a little storyline there. And a lot of those guys from Eagle are back and Rigby are back. So that's a tough one for me. I'm picking Eagle. I want Eagle to win the whole thing. Rigby is big. Jacoby Jones can shoot it. Carson Barber can go for 30 any night. They've got a bunch of guys that can hoop as well. Sam Coons can go. Taylor Freeman, who we know is a big-time football player. He kind of helps run the show for them. Mr. Lords is nice as well. So Rigby can beat Eagle. Fact of the matter, I got Eagle in that game. I'm not going to call an upset there. Meridian, Madison. Good matchup for Meridian. Madison, for me, travels so well. They're going to have the best crowd there. Meridian has one of the worst, as we've seen all year. I think that does play a difference in an environment like this. Meridian has been there, done that. Madison, same. So I'm not ready to pick that game quite yet. So I'll move on to the next one, Owyhee, Mountain View. I hope Mountain View makes it a game. They almost beat them last time. They were tied, I think, after 3 quarters, but Owyhee is rolling. Haven't lost since December 21st against Eagle, and I don't see it happening in the first round at least.
Ty, do you see any upsets coming in the first round?
For the most part, I would have to agree with what Mr. EBC just said, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I'm feeling I'm feeling Meridian coming away with a dub over the number 3 Madison squad. I picked against Madison in the first round last year and was completely surprised at how well they looked out there. I mean, they had a lot of size. They had some talented athletes out there. And like you said, their fans traveled well. I'm picking them against them here again this year. But for me, I kind of, AJ, you and I, we picked Coeur d'Alene in that play-in game. I regretted it immediately. This Meridian team is too talented, in my opinion, to already have this story be over. I think that there's more to come from the Meridian Warriors this year.
I'm going to pick Madison then. If Ty's picking Meridian, I'm going to pick Madison. I love Ike Sutton. Ike Sutton's one of the best players in the state, one of the best point guards. He's a sophomore. I think it's going to be the Ike Sutton, Austin Ramos matchup. Whoever outplays the other, I think their team wins. And I love Austin. He's my guy. I hope he's aggressive. I hope he pops off. I hope Meridian wins. But if Ty's taking Meridian, I'm taking Madison.
I'm just going to say this. Meridian, if you guys haven't thought they faced adversity, that game against Timberline was a win-or-go-home game the other day in the district tournament. That was to get into the play-in game. I had the cold sweats watching that game because Timberline had that game solidified. It was a 5-point lead, like in overtime. Like they were ready to go. And to get to overtime, just so you guys are aware, Meridian missed a 3 in the corner, and Zeke Martinez, the freshman, in my opinion, one of the best freshmen in the entire state, for that matter, who's been playing the most consistent basketball I've seen, gets a tip in at the very end when everyone thought the buzzer was already going to go off. He throws it up there and gets it in there. They end up coming in and winning. But they were down and out, but they figured out how to win that one, and then they came out on fire. I mean, they faced some adversity to get there. I think they're hungry. I think they're too well coached. Ty said it perfectly. They have too many stellar athletes. Let me tell you something about Meridian. The Owyhee Meridian warm-ups. I love the referees that were there because the referees are super chill. They came up and were talking to me. They said, hey, we let the kids know like when we're going to be coming out so you can dunk in warm-ups without getting technical. But when we come out there, if you dunk when we're out there, you're going to get T. Because everybody was like, why are they allowed to dunk when the rest told them, like, this is when we're coming out, so do what you do before we get out there. We already know why he's got some athletes who can fly and throw it down. Meridian, Brock, Jaden, Austin Ramos, Nathan Reynolds. I mean, I'm looking at Ledoux's. They had like 6, 7, 8 guys who were throwing it off the wall and nailing it down. I didn't even know Ramos had ups like that. I didn't know. I honestly didn't know Brock had ups like that. I was like, dude, he was hammering it down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, these guys are serious athletes. So if you guys didn't think that Meridian had athletes, no, these dudes are full of athletic like talent across the board. Davis Thacker, like it's just across the board. They've got like 8 dudes who can throw down. It's actually kind of cool to watch. So anyway, that's why I'm excited to see them. They're athletic dudes coming against them, against Madison. That's that semifinal rematch from last year. I'm not going to pick anything yet. I was letting you guys pick them. I'm not going to say anything yet because I'm not sure what's going to happen in any of these. Oh, sorry. I just got a text message. Okay. So anyway, that's how you guys know we're recording this live and everything.
Take note, anyone watching, the confidence that I have, that's why I'm in first place.
And that's why I'm in last place. As you see, I don't pick.
And that's why I'm a head case. I can't, Ty's in my head.
Ty's in my head. It's all right. Cherry's in mine. He's just creeping on me.
Dude, Cherry's the silent assassin, dude. He's coming up, quietly sneaking up.
Oh,
okay.
man.
Okay. So in the 5A bracket, we kind of discussed a few things, right? Where you guys think certain teams will lie. Now, AJ, my question to you is, if Eagle gets past Rigby, that's a big if, right? That's a great first round matchup that people need to be aware of. Okay. I hope that people come in. That's the 2:00 matchup. of the first session at the Idaho Center on Thursday. Get there, because that's going to be fun to watch. You're going to want to be there anyways for the Lake City Centennial game, because you want to see people in the South that don't understand how Lake City plays. Well, come watch them. You're going to see them. But Eagle Rigby is going to be arguably one of the best. That and Meridian Madison will be the two top first round matchups, in my opinion. But if Eagle gets past them, my question is, do they get the rematch against Lake City? Do they pull that off against Lake City when they were so close earlier in the season?
So I love.
We're going to quote you on that one.
I want Eagle to win the state championship. I think Eagle can win the state championship. I think that loss to Owyhee they just had is going to be beneficial for that group. I think their coach is going to make sure of that. He's that good, coach of the year, in my opinion. But man, what I think is, and I told you guys this the other day. I said if Coeur d'Alene were to beat Meridian, I have Owyhee winning the whole thing. Coeur d'Alene did not beat Meridian. So now I'm starting to think, because I think the semifinal matchups and what that can potentially take out of a team, because I saw it last year with the state champion Meridian team, they had to fight and claw and push through that Lake City game. I mean, Drayson Fisher couldn't stand up at the end of the third quarter. He was so spent from the emotion against Madison, who's a tough team, and all that. So that Lake City Eagle game could dictate the state champion. I think if Owyhee gets a game from Madison or Meridian, if they beat Mountain View, that could matter as well. But you're asking me, and I'm trying to just jump around the question here, and it's not working. But I think Eagle can win that game. I am going to sit here and say right now, the only reason I would not pick Lake City to win the state championship is if Ty did. I mean, if it's Lake City, Owyhee, I will take Lake City. Unless Ty says I'm taking Lake City, then I will take Owyhee. I legit think Owyhee is a team to beat with how well they're playing. Are they due for a letdown? I don't know. I think they're that talented with those two D1 guys who have just been dominating lately. I don't know. But Lake City, for me, they're not as deep. I think they're as talented, if not more talented. But that's going to come down to who Ty picks. So I will say I have Lake City in that game against Eagle. And I love those guys at Lake City. I want Eagle to win it, then Centennial, then Lake City. That's how I want it. And like from a personal, my heart standpoint, I'm going to pick Lake City in that game. I don't want to, and it makes me want to cry.
I got you. I want Eagle. That, though.
But yes, Eagle can win that game, absolutely. And I'm more worried for Lake City than anything else. And if they do win that game, it will take something out of them. Yes, I do think that. And I think that will affect them on Saturday. So they better hope the same happens to Owyhee in the second round against Madison or Meridian, my opinion.
So to that point, Ty, real quick, on the other side of the bracket, assuming Owyhee can get through Mountain View, which is not a guarantee. Coach Middleton has Mountain View ready to rock and roll, you know what I mean? But if Owyhee, which we're expecting to get past Mountain View, gets to the second round, do they have a potential upset? I say this because if you guys rewind 3 years ago, I believe, Rocky Mountain High School had arguably the best team that's ever come through the state of Idaho, in my opinion, top to bottom, size, athleticism, the ability to shoot and score, defense, everything. I mean, they were arguably one of the top teams in the country. They were ranked in the top 100 of the country, actually in the top 30 at one point. Okay. They got beat in the semifinals just because of a matchup. I mean, they beat Meridian, and then they got beat in the semis, and everyone's like, oh. And then all of a sudden you had Bora winning the championship because it was like, oh, Rocky didn't make it. Because of the state tournament, you're playing at the Idaho Center. It's a different environment, and it's 3 games in a row, and it's it's hard basketball every single day. And you got to have the depth, and you have to have the grit to get past it. So my question is, Ty, on the other side of the bracket, does Owyhee get past the semifinal matchup, whether it be Meridian or Madison?
Yeah, I think they do. Owyhee, I'm just gonna put it out there. That's my pick. Kind of beginning of the season, Lake City was my favorite, but I'm rocking with the Storm as the 5A champs this year for sure. I think we're gonna see a different side of Jack Payne that has been hiding all season because it hasn't needed to show. That's my early pick for tournament MVP. I think he's locked in and he's ready to go prove he's arguably the best player in the state. So
I'm with you. Oh, go ahead.
I just think, if Mountain View, like you kind of said with, Centennial playing Lake City, if they can make a game of it, or Eagle and Rigby, if Mountain View can come in and, give Owyhee a run for their money, sure, it might slow them down, but I think we would see the same sort of thing that we got from Meridian last year, that Owyhee is just going to come in and grit this out. And I think they've got the tough, physical, just big, gritty guys that can go do it. To me, Jack has played he's played a great leadership role this year, but we haven't even, in my opinion, seen Jack's best basketball. And I think we're going to see it Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
They're going to need his leadership. Ty and I looked at each other the other day at the Owyhee Eagle game, and I asked him if he saw Jack's leadership on the court, the way he was talking to his teammates, holding them accountable. And he's like, sure did. And so it's true. There's little intricacies of the game. You could see Jack's leadership coming out, not from the playing standpoint. I mean, it's showing that one of his teammates showing him how to angle his body on an inbounds pass so that he can pretty much shield off the entire half of the court, like where you need to shield your body. And then his teammate, dude, they're up by 20 plus and they get an offensive rebound. Eagle got an offensive rebound. And I saw him look over at his teammates and he said something to the effect of, how did that happen? And then they didn't say anything. And Jack's like, no, look at me. I want to know why. And he's like yelling out loud. I'm like, dude, you're up 20 plus. He was holding them accountable. And that's the type of basketball and type of leadership you're going to need to have when you have underclassmen playing in a setting like this. You think the district tournament's packed and everyone's watching? Wait till the entire state of Idaho and even more are watching. You either have the cameras from NFHS or you've got people at the actual stadium or people following our channel. Like, you got eyes on you. You're going to need that leadership.
To that point right there, if you're planning on going out this weekend, you need to be there early, because I can almost guarantee it's going to be a packed house from start to finish. Just judging on what we've seen so far from the 5A boys, and then just what we saw from the girls tournament last weekend. I mean, that was a pretty full crowd, and I can only imagine what it's going to be like this coming weekend. So if you're planning on going out, make sure you're there early.
And to that point, we want to remind everybody, you can't get tickets at the door either. You need to go to the IHSAA website. There's the app that you need to get. So go get it's a digital ticket for your cellular device. Make sure you bring that, okay? There's not going to be tickets at the door. That's different than most years, okay? And the doors open an hour before game time, to my understanding. So make sure you're there. There will probably be a line. Like Ty said, you're going to want to get there. And I'd encourage you to, if you can, I know everybody has jobs and everything, but if you can catch most of them, stay there for the games, because it's going to get packed up in there. So stay there. If you're going to go to one game that's on the earlier set of the schedule, stay there for the later game on that particular session as well. But you're going to probably want to get to that early game to get a good seat, because people are probably going to stay and watch each game. So get there. Okay. Last thing I'm going to ask about this particular tournament. Ty's got Owyhee. I've been bouncing this back and forth, but I also have Owyhee based on the type of basketball I've seen in the last month and a half. AJ, who do you have winning the state championship?
Well, then I'm going to send this over to you guys, this fire that was hooked up, which you guys need to get one. Shout out Storm Hoopers. He's going to love this. So I'm going to send this to you guys, and I'm going to go with I'm going to go get my Lake City gear, because I got Lake City winning the whole thing. I have since day one. I haven't, even if I would have picked Owyhee, my pick would have been in my heart Lake City. I think they were there last year. I think Buchanan's been there twice. I think third time's a charm for him in the state championship game. I think they're ready to go. I know they're not real excited that they played in the Owyhee tournament, and then Owyhee didn't play in that tournament. They ended up leaving and doing something else, which was good for them. But I think Lake City wants Owyhee. I know Owyhee wants Lake City, but neither one of these teams better look past any of these teams. Mountain View, Centennial, it's going to be a fun tournament. The top 8 teams, in my opinion, are in this tournament, and it's going to be a fun one. But man, I can't even sleep at night. I'm so excited. I can't wait to hang out with you guys for 3 straight days, all day. We are going to just have a great time.
Hopefully it's a good one. Hopefully it's a good experience. And if it's not, you'll hear from us. I promise you that. But I hope we have the same hospitality shown to us that Shannon in the girls tournament showed us. It was phenomenal for the girls side. So hopefully it's the same thing this week around, and we can just focus on our work and not anything else that's extracurricular. So last thing I'll say here, we got to give love to Lapwai. I don't want to forget them. I put this out on Twitter. Who we excited to watch? AJ's representing Lapwai.
Yes, sir.
AJ, you know the guys better than anybody. Briefly, if you could, share with us what the people in Idaho should know about Lapwai as they come in, because they're going to say, oh, it's a small school. They're not. I mean, it is what it is. They discredit small schools. This team has some of the best talent in the state of Idaho. Talk to them.
So first thing is, I absolutely hate their schedule. They play at the same time as Lake City Centennial. They play at the same time as probably Lake City Eagle. And then they play the same time on Saturday as my daughter. So I may not get to watch them play, which is emotional. But anyway, they are probably, in my honest opinion, they are probably the third or fourth best team in the state. I think it's Owyhee, Lake City, and then I think it's probably Lapwai. Lapwai could beat both of those teams. They had four of their 5 starters on their first team all league. Titus Yearout was player of the year. No surprise. Or Coach Eastman. Shout out Coach Zach. He was coach of the year. These guys will be in the state championship game, and they will win the state championship. I would put every dollar I had on it as long as they stay healthy, because the team that's ranked second in the 1A tournament is a team that's from their league, who they've beaten 3 times by I believe 30 plus all 3 times. And so it's going to be a show. These guys are real deal. Case Wynot's a future Division I basketball player, sophomore, averaging 25 a game. Titus Yearout is my Gatorade player of the year, and I really don't think it's close. That's for me. Cross Taylor has hit 9 threes in multiple games this year. His brother Emmett Taylor played at Idaho State. And then Terrell Ellenwood Jones, who's a legacy out there on the res. He's he may be leading the state in assists with 8.5 a game. And Titus is right behind him. They are absolutely loaded. They are probably the most fun team to watch in the state, next to Owyhee and Lake City. And if you have a chance on Saturday, at least at 11:30 a.m. at the Idaho Center, they will be playing in a state championship game. Wake up, have a nice breakfast, and go get your day started early watching those guys play. They deserve the love. They may be the best overall team in the state of Idaho. I'm done hearing all this, hey, they're 1A, they don't play anybody. They beat Lewiston at Lewiston in a tournament on a third game in 3 days. They beat them by 22. They went up to Coeur d'Alene, who was number 3 in the state, and beat them by double digits at Coeur d'Alene, which is one of the toughest places to win, even ask the Lake City guys. And so they're smacking people, and they're real deal. They're 24-0 right now. They're going to be 27-0. Win the schools, I believe, 12th state championship. Get out and watch these guys play. It's a special team. What they do out there in Lapwai is different than anywhere else. Please go support these guys and watch them play. They're a special group. So
the argument everyone's like trying to make, I've heard people say this. Well, why don't they just go up? They always talk about classification. Well, why don't you go up to a different one? That's not how it works. I hope everybody understands this. I would imagine that most people understood it, but I've heard a lot of Twitter talk, which, in the words of Brian Hartson, what do they call them? Twidiots. One time, that's a twidiot, because that's not how it works in classifications. Like, why doesn't this school go? It's based on the population. Okay, that's what, and your enrollment within your school. That's how that people get like. So if you're like, oh, if they're just dominating all these schools, why don't they just move up? You know, it's not like the soccer system where your best teams in each classification move up, even though that would be pretty sick, actually. But it's not how it works.
I would say, I mean, at some point, something will have to be looked at. I mean,
yeah,
they're not going to want to be going. I mean, going undefeated is great and all, but like at some point, you got to test yourself. So, in my opinion, although I know it doesn't quite work like that, I feel like something will have to be done at some point.
And they tried to schedule. I'm gonna say it again. Right. They tried to schedule multiple 5A SIC teams who said yes, we will, and then they both pulled out. I'm not gonna call these teams out, but it was soft, and it was because Lapwai had a chance to come down here and play in 2 games, and both the coaches were like, yeah, let's do it, because I was trying to help coordinate it. And then they both, no, we don't want to anymore. And then they went and got 2 weak games. It's soft, absolutely soft. So step up and play them.
Lapwai's trying to do their best. They can only play in their division, their conference, but like on the out of conference games, they try to schedule some bigger opponents so you guys can see what they do. Just so you understand that, though, throughout the entire state, that's how it works. Population of your school. Same conversation goes with like all the other schools when they move up. Why is this team moving up and this school's moving up next year and this one's not?
Boise State. Why doesn't Boise State play in the Pac-12? It's the same thing. Not enough majors, or not enough this, not enough that.
Yeah, the school's not big enough. People are clueless when it comes to that argument. It's like you have academic standards you got to meet. You have also, there's a lot of things that go into it that we don't have at Boise State. So it's like, dude, just stop with the arguments. We don't have the money that other schools have. So similar situation there. But just so you guys know, we got some great basketball coming your way. I want to remind everybody, like I said earlier, go follow Ty over at Boise Sports Talk. You want to learn about College of Idaho basketball. You want to learn about the lacrosse teams. You want to go cover sports over at Boise State that are outside of just football and basketball. You can do that too. 7-on-7. You got everything coming from Boise Sports Talk here in the Valley. You want to know more about 8th grade hoops and volleyball and all sorts of stuff. You got EBC Media. EBC's taking it to another level there. He always has been. He's the one who started this entire Instagram type coverage. So go follow AJ over at EBC. Cherry is our videographer. Cherry is on a whole nother level when it comes to videography and creativity. Go follow him at cherry_films_. He's also on Twitter, but he doesn't really use that much. And then you can follow me at Gametime Guru if you want to go follow my podcast, and I'm interviewing sports figures every single week, and I try to post my content there as well. We are the Idaho Underground Sports Network. It's state basketball time, baby. Let's go. We'll see you guys Thursday. Follow us on our pages, and we'll talk to you soon.